Welcome to Lakers Talk with Gerald, episode 195. Welcome, everybody. We are talking about the Lakers. This is the next chapter of Lakers Talk with Gerald. This is after the Celtics. Yes, I'm bringing up the Celtics right away, starting this podcast today of Lakers Talk with Gerald, because since I've been born, when I first started watching Lakers back in the 80s, mid 80s, by the way, when it was the great rival of the Boston Celtics, Magic, Worthy, and all them versus Bird, McHale, and Parrish. Let me not mention Kareem too, who was on those Lakers, along with a bunch of others. But back then, it was that rivalry of the Lakers versus the Boston Celtics. They went back and forth, Bird and Magic. During the 80s, Bird won 3 championships. The Lakers won 5. So that was a big rivalry back and forth. Man, a lot of big challenges. So going forward, years later, Lakers and the Boston Celtics have the most championships in the NBA. We all know that by a long mile. Last year, before Boston just won it this year, before they won it, Lakers back in 2020 won that championship, and we tied the Boston Celtics with the most championships in the NBA at 17. Now Boston won this year, and now they're ahead, 18 championships to 17 championships. By the way, I said how Boston and LA Lakers are, ahead of everybody else in the NBA by a long mile. And the closest third place would be, take a guess, everyone. I'll give a little pause in here so you can think of it, make your choice, lock in your selection. All right, did you lock your selection in? Okay, raise your hand if you said Chicago Bulls. Okay, if you said the Bulls, you were wrong. Okay, they actually are fourth after the Golden State Warriors with 7 championships, or third place, and then after that is Chicago Bulls with 6. So both the Lakers, 17 championships, so 10 more. That's a big margin right there, right? And so Boston got 18. Okay, Lakers didn't want that, of course. None of us wanted that. If you're a Lakers fan, that's one thing you root for. You do not want Boston to win, get more championships so they can have bragging rights, because that's one thing they like to do is, hey, we have more championships. We're the best, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, because if you really think about it, right, back in the day, Boston won most of their championships when there were only, maybe 10 NBA teams in the league. Don't quote me exactly. There weren't, now there's 30, I believe there's around 30 teams to 32 teams. I believe there's 30 teams in the NBA right now, okay? So that's a lot of teams to go through, right? Versus like 10 teams, give or take. So during those times, I think they had won 8 championships in 10 years, something like that, something crazy, okay? So they won a good majority of those championships way over 40 years ago. When I say back in the day, I mean over 40 years ago. I'm not even going to say the dates. But if you just look in the last 40 years, we have at least 11 championships in the last 40 years, right? Versus their way few. So if you really look at it, we have been way more relevant in the recent years when there's, a lot more disparity in the league. So that's something to think about, everybody. So, and it's, what, it might be a good thing that they have one more than us, because that give us a little more, inspiration or something to try to catch back up again. Now, Boston Celtics do have a young team. They do have Brown. They do have Tatum. They have Porzingis. They have all these guys that are all under 30. I believe all 3 of those guys are under 30. And I believe their whole team for the Boston Celtics are actually going to be on the roster next year. None of those guys are free agents. None of their contracts are up. The whole team, for what I understand, is basically locked in. So they're going to run it back. Now, I will say that Boston, they're going to have more of a challenge next year, even though they have that same team intact. And they did win. They did get to have the best record in the NBA last year. Don't get me wrong. They had 64 wins, way more wins than anybody else, right? But, Milwaukee, Giannis got hurt. in the playoffs, so he wasn't a threat. They were the next best team that could have challenged them. After that, it was the 76ers. But then, from what I understand, Embiid got hurt. And things just started to fall out like that for them. A lot of the teams that they went against, a lot of their big major players were getting hurt. And then we thought their biggest challenge in the finals would have been the Denver Nuggets, but then the Denver Nuggets lost to Dallas Mavericks, and Dallas Mavericks get to the finals, and they prove to be no huge challenge for the Boston Celtics, and they go on to win. So what I was saying is, even though they had a really good record, they're going to have more of a challenge next year. They're going to have a go through the gauntlet next year. I mean, if they win it amongst a bunch of healthy teams, then hey, all right, good for them. But mind you, in the last 6 years, there have been no repeat championships. Mind you, in the last 6 years, there have been no repeat NBA champions, right? It's been new ones the last 6 years. So, everybody, really, I just wanted to start this chapter off of Lakers Talk with Gerald, pointing out those things, letting everybody know what's going on. Coming up next is the NBA draft. That's happening next Wednesday. That's going to be on, I believe it's going to be on the 26th. I don't know exactly what time it's going to come on. Lakers have the 17th pick and the 55th pick. Rumors are, Lakers, Bronny James is going to be in that draft. And rumors are Lakers want to get him because, LeBron James has said in the past that he wanted to play with his son. That's his dream of his, to play with his son. Recently, he's been saying that, hey, it's not really been on my mind. Bronny's up to play wherever he wants to play. Rich Paul came out recently saying a bunch of stuff that, hey, LeBron James ain't been thinking about that. It's not determined that's not going to determine where he goes to play at. Because before, LeBron James has said, hey, I'm willing to go. I'm going to go wherever my son goes, whoever drafts him, that's where I'm going. Money's not going to be an issue. I'm willing to take less to go whoever drafts my son. He said that a few years back during an All-Star weekend when it was in Cleveland. And so now Rich Paul came out the other day, and now he's saying, hey, LeBron James is not going to just go to any team. He's not going to sign for a minimum. He said something about he's not going to go to Phoenix and sign for the minimum because Phoenix has been rumored to want to draft Bronny James. So he's been putting it out there, Rich Paul, been putting it out there that LeBron is not just going to go play for any team. And he also put it out there that he's not just going to play for a team if they draft Bronny James, which that is definitely going against what LeBron had said some time ago. Some people are saying, looking on Twitter, the Twitterverse or the X-verse, whatever you want to call it now. They've been saying that they're just trying to throw smoke screens to try to stop teams or bad teams from drafting him to try to get LeBron James and thinking he'll come sign for a minimum. So he also put out there like, hey, he's not signing for no minimum. Just get that out your head. So it's trying to, I tend to kind of agree or believe with that theory that he's trying to throw other teams off. And he also said something about even if the Lakers were to draft him, it's not guaranteed that LeBron would still re-sign with him, which I think that's some bull-ish too. If the Lakers drafted Bronny, I'm damn sure LeBron is going to re-sign with the Lakers. That would be just crazy if he didn't. Like they're saying, I think that's definitely just some smoke screens trying to get other teams off of the path. All right, everybody, I'm going to keep it short, but stay tuned. Definitely subscribe. Follow me on wherever you listen to your podcast. I know that's a popular phrase to say, but go ahead and do that. Subscribe to my YouTube page, Lakers Talk with Gerald. You can find it there. Podbeam is where I record my podcast from, but you can find them on Apple. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on wherever you listen to your podcast. Like I said, go ahead and check me out. I'm going to be putting out them every couple days, and we're going to be talking about our Lakers and look forward to hearing from you guys. All right, I'm officially out.